You're live. I'm live. And not coincidentally, I am also alive. But who am I? I am ThreePlusKei. I'm just an honest Christian encouraging you to pursue the smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. And this right here is the Secret Art Club. Let's go. Welcome to the Secret Heart Club. Everyone does their part to bring love, beloved. Hey, we love Jesus at the Secret Heart Club. Today was an interesting day. I had low energy all day, which always happens after some good sleep. Let me explain. Monday or Sunday night, I went to bed. I went to sleep. My Fitbit said I went to sleep at 9:30. I woke up, sprung out of bed at 6:30, was able to take a shower and sit down and clock in by 7, easy peasy. I had a super high energy day. And then I already knew what time it was, and it took me forever to go to sleep last night, which trickled into today. I definitely have sleep issues and I never have 2 good sleep days in a row. Never, ever. If I have a good night's sleep one night, guaranteed that the next day, that night, I'm awake until like 2 in the morning. But today was that kind of day. So I didn't go to the gym. Hey, Ben. I didn't go to the gym today. Instead, I went and I took a walk. I went to the dollar store to get dishwashing soap and deodorant, and I was actually very surprised. They didn't have the exact deodorant I wanted, which is Secret Powder Fresh, but they had so many different varieties. I was like, why don't people just get their deodorant from the Dollar Tree or many other things? Like, we just kind of like spend our money, which brings me to the point of being drunk in a Bronco. So unless you're hiding under a rock, in 2024, whoever makes Broncos, I think maybe Ford, released a new version of Broncos, which was popularized by O.J. Simpson back in the day, right? And so they are literally everywhere. And because this happened in 2024, that means people are running around driving new cars. And to that, I say, you do you. The interesting thing to me is that I live in Montana. So Montana in general, we're a humble bunch economically. And so when I see a Bronco, I'm not like, oh my gosh, look, that person has money for a Bronco. Me being an adult and knowing how life works, I'm more like, there's a stronger likelihood that this person cannot afford the Bronco than it is. So I looked up the prices for Broncos, and the cheapest you can get one is brand new is $38,000, and then they go up to $48,000 for different versions. So if you've ever bought a car and you're trying to go to the bank and get them to give you some money or get financing, they'll give you half of your income worth of vehicle, right? So if you make $40,000 a year, the bank will loan you or will finance you for a $20,000 car, which is a horrible idea because your payments, the standard payment for cars, did you know, is $750. That's the average payment that somebody's making. Hey, Deader Edits. That was a struggle read. I struggle read that one, but how you doing? And so anyway, in order to get a Bronco, the cheapest one, $38,000, then you need to be making $72,000 a year. And again, the town we live in, highly unlikely that as many Broncos as there are the number of people making $72,000 a year. And so why does this matter at all? Trust me, I'm not counting it. What you do, I lose zero sleep over it. I'm just interested in the phenomena of like, I have to have this just because I want it. And so before the Broncos, I don't know where you guys are viewing this, but before the Broncos in our town, can you name a car for an edit? I'm talking about Broncos. How about Broncos? And you were the one that said you were going to do an edit last time and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. I'm naming a Bronco and I don't even know what an edit is supposed to be, but I hope you do it so I can see what you're talking about. It would be my pleasure. Hey, Lena. Hola. And so before the Broncos, it was paint jobs in my town, at least. It's like these muted colors. I don't know how to describe it. Like if it's gray or red or whatever, it's kind of like it's a matte color. And then they put a polish over the matte. I don't know if this is happening all across the country, but everybody had those types of cars too. And again, the socioeconomic status of where we live does not lend a hand to as many people as there are getting new cars. And so I'm on the type of time. So I'm a social worker for context of this conversation. I don't make a lot of money, but I run my life as if it's a business. I run my life quarterly. There's quarterly goals to hit. And one way to run your life as a business is to watch the finances. The whole deal with the business, which people get confused all the time. They're like, businesses help people. It's like, yes, maybe. But businesses exist to get a profit. Do you see what I'm saying? Hey, Lord Poppy. Hey, Lord Poppy, businesses exist to maximize profits. Hey, Luffy. Oh, it's a party in here. Y'all came to show out today. And so I say all this about the Broncos and it's not wise to go out of your... If you yourself are a business and you give yourself quarterly reports on your finances, at the end of each quarter, you want to maximize your savings, right? You want to have more in your bank account. So one way I do this, I run what's called a zero budget. And that means, let's say I make $100 a month. Every penny of that $100 is accounted for, even if it's just going into a savings account. Every penny is accounted for. And so what I try to do is what has been budgeted for, find an even cheaper way to do it. And that's when I came in here talking about the Dollar Tree has all sorts of deodorants. All sorts. Like, what's the point of going to even Walmart and paying $3 or $4 for deodorant when you can get literally the exact same thing for $1.25? And a lot of it is just ego. Lord Poppy says they sure do. I work for a bank. Yeah, exactly. Lord Poppy could probably tell us a few stories about people cashing all the way out when it's not wise to do so. And then Luffy says, I have to sleep. I have school tomorrow. Bye, Luffy. We'll see you next time. And so if we're running ourselves as a business, these are just thoughts. This is not any kind of like social work take necessarily. But if we're running our own lives as a business, this time is allocated toward social events. This time is allocated toward physical health. And then what do social goals look like? What do physical health goals look like? What do financial goals look like? What do goals with the Lord look like? Maybe you're not reading your Bible, and in this quarter you want to start off with 15 minutes in the Word every day, whatever the case might be. But those 4 categories. But the point of a business too, how they maximize their profits, is not copying somebody else exactly, like the case with these Broncos out here. You have a Bronco, I want a Bronco too. Businesses don't work like that. Businesses exist to what? Maximize profit. How do they do that? They differentiate themselves in a market. So if you think about all the fast food restaurants, even if they all sell burgers, McDonald's and Burger King both sell burgers, both sell cheap burgers at that. However, Burger King is slightly more expensive. Why? Because they have flame broiled burgers. They offer a higher quality. So they're all with the burgers and generally the same price, but Burger King has higher prices because they have a slightly higher quality, and that's how they differentiate themselves and maximize their business. So in the way of you considering yourself, Lord Poppy says, yeah, I'm a debt collector too. Exactly. People overextend themselves. In the way of you considering yourself a business and maximizing profits, and doing so by differentiating yourself, how, and this is my point that I'm driving home, how are you differentiating yourself in the market? What is special about you? So I'm watching, I watch a lot of, this is a side note, but several years ago I was crying. I was like, I'm a social worker through and through. If I lost my job as a social worker, I would never, there's nothing else I can do. And everybody was like, you would go into business. I remember somebody said it so like, what are you talking about? You would go in, you would start selling things. You would go into business. And now, so anyway, I listen to a lot of business podcasts, and one of them is The Diary of the CEO. And this most recent podcast is with the founder of Snapchat, right? And Snapchat developed on a premise that you could send pictures to somebody else 10 times faster than a text. And that was kind of the premise. And then it kind of like built from there. And he was talking about he was like 21 years old, and Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook, offered him $3 billion. And the Snapchat guy was like, no, we just want to do something different. And different they did. He didn't take the 3 billion, and now they're like valued at however else more. But that's kind of like, it's who are you? And he was talking about the values of the company culture. Like, what do they stand on as a company? And I forgot what he said, but it made me think about me, Lakeitha, CEO of myself and of ThreePlusKei as the business entity. What are the values we espouse? If somebody else came on board, which is the hope and the prayer one day, is that I'm not operating this thing by myself, that I have like editors and, videographers and this kind of thing. what are the cultural values of my business? That is myself. That is 3+Kei. And it is, I say it all the time, being kind on purpose and outrageously generous. That's what we stand on. And when I say we, I mean me. That's what I stand on every single day. Is it kind? And how can we be generous through that, through our endeavors? And I just wanted to get on here and encourage everyone to think about themselves as a business. Don't just get the Bronco. Don't just get the Bronco because Steve got one or Mary got one. And then as Lord Poppy is saying, you go into debt. People go into debt every single day. Figure out how to trim your costs. Go to the Dollar Tree. And obviously don't buy the meat from the Dollar Tree, but like they have I got an extension cord. I buy extension cords like every other year or something like that. I just have a bunch of extension cords. I like the concept of it. You go to Walmart, you get one for $10 to $15. I went to the Dollar Tree. I was shocked. You get an extension cord for what? $1.25. And it hasn't caught on fire. That was kind of my fear, was that maybe it's a shady practice to get a extension cord from the Dollar Tree. I've had it for a year now. It's fine. It's doing what it needs to be doing. You can get candles from there. But yeah, I just wanted to encourage you. And so also, you might be wondering what drunk in a Bronco means. On Tuesdays, so we're on YouTube right now. There's also a, oh, hey, Scott. It's Scott. There is also a 3+Kei YouTube, 3+Kei TikTok channel and a 3+Kei Instagram channel, which I don't really pay much attention to. So you can go over there if you want to, but it's just easy to link the shorts over there. So that's what that is. But anyway, on Tuesdays, I look at all of the comments and the messages. And in the way of my branding, one thing I was scared about from the beginning, and if you're considering making a YouTube channel, there's a way to navigate it. And it was actually Ben that encouraged me to turn my comments on. But I was very scared about mean comments, and it happens. But YouTube offers a very strict moderation setting, where I think most of the comments, like I got 10 comments today on YouTube, and YouTube restricted 8 of them, which means 8 of those comments were nasty, and I'll never know what it said. And I'm fine with that because it goes to your comments count. It still goes towards your engagement. So, but I hope that maybe my values of kindness and generosity translate to my content, and the messages I get are very kind and very nice. So today on TikTok, one of the comments I received, or not comments, one of the messages, somebody in my inbox, somebody messaged me if drunkenness is a sin. And we know that it is, but it's kind of like, why? And I have some scriptures kind of like pulled up, but there's some general, without using scriptures, drunkenness can be offensive to other people. It can stumble other people. It can, like, the behaviors that come with drunkenness can be unpleasant, and what we want to do is be edifying toward one another, whether you're a believer or not. We want to be moving in love, and if our drunkenness makes us, let's not even say violent or all the nasty things that can come with drunkenness, but just erratic and irresponsible. People have to take care of you and this kind of thing. These are reasons why drunkenness isn't of God, and it's a form. When I was reading about it, one of the seven great sins, right? One of them is gluttony, which means overconsumption of whatever, money, sex, food. But in this instance, an overconsumption of alcohol. And I will read the three scriptures at this point. Ephesians 5:18 says, "Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Holy Spirit," something pleasant. Galatians 5:19 through 21, "The acts of the sinful nature are obvious, drunkenness, orgies, and the like." So when we say, I just want to hone in on the acts of sinful nature are obvious. It is so apparent, right? Nobody needs to tell you that you being drunk and falling all over the place, or just being loud and carrying on, being obnoxious. Nobody really, it's obvious that that is a state of the human condition that should not be. And then Proverbs 23:21, "For the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and slumber will clothe them with rags." Let's read that one back. The drunkard and the glutton, overconsumption, will lead you toward poverty, and slumber will clothe them with rags. And so, speaking of gluttony and overconsumption, many times in our society, we're like, we see Jorge has the Bronco and we want the Bronco too. What makes it overconsumption is that we don't have the finances to support a $40,000 to $50,000 vehicle in the first place. So overconsumption could take the place of could be in the way of acquiring material possessions that we just don't need. And not only do we not need it, but it's putting us out. It's putting us in a bind. And just like that overconsumption, that gluttony, alcohol is the same. It's no bueno. Now, and the guy was asking like, well, Jesus drank. Jesus did drink. Actually, Jesus could have a good time. We don't talk about that enough. We don't talk about that enough. Jesus could have a good time. It would be like, and Jesus reclined at the table. They had a little wine in there. They had some food. They had the lamb meat, fresh bread up in there. All the people. It was a party. It was a party. Jesus knew how to have a good time. Remember what happened at the wedding? You know what I mean? He was in there like that. He was pointing people to God. He's going to point you to God, but there's a time and a place for everything. But yeah, a little wine. The idea is you don't want to impair your judgment in any sense of the word. And so while I was thinking about the values that I have, which are, it's not just kindness and generosity. I don't believe in just being kind and just being generous. I believe and live my life being kind on purpose, intentionally kind. If you are my friend, I think about you, ways to improve your life, which gets me into trouble because not all friends think like that. And then I get put out, but that's another story for another time. And then generosity, I don't have it like that. But I can give you some time. There's not a time. One thing people know about me, don't call my phone. Do not call my phone asking me how I'm doing. that will irritate me, and I'll have to tell you, don't call my phone like that. And so because everybody knows, if you know me, I have two phones for that reason. Anybody who calls my love phone that I'm on right now, that very few people have that number. Anybody who calls me on that number, I automatically pick up. Why? Because you know I don't like to be called. So I know you're calling me for a reason. I know you're calling me. Something is wrong or something is really great. But there's a reason why you are calling me. So now I'm going to be generous with my time. I will, whenever somebody calls me, I stop what I'm doing and I listen, and I'm a friend. So I'm generous with my time that way. A lot of times I don't want to be I don't really want to be bothered like that. But that's what drunk in a Bronco means. It's just like, you got to get it together. You got to have some amount of self-control in your life. And the reason why self-control came up is because kindness and generosity are both fruits of the Spirit. And I was thinking, what else could I add on there that kind of like embodies who I am? And self-control is in there. I get told that more often than I would like, how disciplined I am. I don't feel that I am. I don't feel that I am. I mean, I'm more disciplined. Let me say this. I am more disciplined than literally anybody that I know. But nobody I know is like focused on their schedule for the day, which is fine. But nobody I know is like, this happens and then this happens and then this happens and then this happens. And then you kind of, because that's the schedule, then you naturally to some degree follow it. And so I don't always follow the schedule, but that's what makes me appear disciplined. I think it's just that I merely have a schedule to begin with to kind of maneuver around in my life. Yeah. I would like a Bronco. I want to just make sure I tie that on up. I would like a Bronco. I cannot afford a Bronco. Really, the car that I want is a 4Runner. That is a $50,000 car. So at least even if I went to the bank and said, will you loan me the money for a 4Runner? I would have to be making $100,000 a year. And I could tell you, just the type of person I am now, if I was making $100,000 a year, the first thing in my mind would not be to spend half of it on a vehicle. You feel me? You know, I'm trying to be wise. In a few weeks, I'll tell you guys this. You know, I've been talking about buying land for a while. So here's the thing. In a few short weeks, that process is going to start. I was going to wait until next year, but tomorrow's not promised. Like, why? What happens next year except land is more expensive? You know what I mean? And then I'm going to put a house on that land. And then here's the issue is I really like my neighborhood. This sounds crazy. I don't want to leave my neighborhood. It's so good. It's such a friendly neighborhood. And if you know me, friendliness is like I don't like to be around unfriendly people. I refuse to be around unfriendly people in my personal life. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't really know what I'm doing, guys, but I do know I'm moving forward. You know, did you know that holy means set apart? I used to work for a place and they gave you 10 days off a year with no holidays. No holidays, but 10 days off. And you could spend the 10 days on your own holidays was the premise. But as it would turn out, because I used those days for like, I was in grad school. I used those days for like all days, days where I would have to be in class all day. And they told me, you're not using these on holidays, Lakeitha. And I was like, first of all, what's the point of giving these 10 to use on whatever are my holidays if you just want me, if you're expecting me to use them on Christmas and Thanksgiving? I'm going to work on Christmas and Thanksgiving. If nobody picks up the phone, that's not my problem. I'm available on Christmas and Thanksgiving. But they wanted me to use it on Christmas and Thanksgiving. So why don't you just give the holidays? Why don't you just give those holidays off? It makes no sense to me. But anyway, what I was telling them was that my school days are holidays. Why? Because holidays are holy days. That's what that means. Holy days, and holy means set apart. A holiday is a set apart day for a special occasion, be it a grievance or a celebration. And so my days of school that I took for holidays were set apart days. They couldn't argue. I think a danger about me, one thing about me is that you can't match my wit. I will outwit you every single time. Every single time. Just don't start. Just don't make silly rules. I knew what they were saying, but they didn't see what I was saying. But it was too late. How are you going to tell me? Who's going to prove? Who's going to tell me? That's discrimination. It's discrimination. You telling me what my holiday is. And then asking me for proof of it. That's a discrimination suit. Anyway, they changed the rules. But just to put it all together, holy means set apart. You running yourself like a business, you need to behave in a holy manner with an absence of gluttony and your drunkenness. Oh, it's Pablo again from Chile. Hey, Pablo. And so one way to be a holy person, and this is going to knock your socks off. This is going to be so shocking, I know. But one way to be a holy person is to have holy or set apart behavior. Set apart being righteous behavior. So demonstrating self-control in all circumstances. Kindness for me, right? Kindness and generosity in all circumstances. Joy. Nobody likes a Grinch, Deborah. Right? Nobody likes that. When you say you stand for Christ, stand for Christ. Stand on that, my guy. And if you're standing on it, then you need to be holy, set apart. It should be evident. Christians do not do what the next person is doing. Christians only do what Christ is doing. Obviously, that's not a blanket statement because we're sinful creatures. Obviously, right? If you compared me to Jesus Christ, you could just turn the TV off now. You know what I mean? It doesn't go that way, but embracing holiness, I think is a thing. And especially that self-control part, right? You got to get it together. You got to sew it up at some point. and you want a better life. We all want a better, can I tell you something? We all want a better life. And one thing you could do right now, which is a biblical principle, whether you're a Christian or not, one thing you could do right now to improve your life is embrace and pursue and embrace self-control. All your issues, mine included, lack of self-control. I am pudgy around, I'm soft around the corners, my guy. Soft around the corners. Because I be eating cakes. I like cookies, Doritos. I like all that. Lack of self-control. And so even in the way of like treating yourself as a business, that physical health aspect, I don't have any of that stuff. If I want ice cream, I have to get in the car and go drive to go get it. And I don't pick up a bucket and bring it home. I go to Dairy Queen, I have my ice cream, and then I go home. I don't keep any of that. It's all Whole Foods. I got some pasta, and the only reason, Ben, if you're on here, the only reason I have pasta is because you said you like pasta and I was going to make you some pasta. That's literally the only reason why I have pasta. I have some linguine for you. You're welcome. Got that stuff in my house, you know? So Pablo says, hola, amiga poquita español hablas. Do I speak a little Spanish? I can comprehend it way better than I can speak it. The reason why my sister started to teach me Spanish when I was like 3 or 4, but in high school, I took 2 years of Latin. And so because I took Latin, I can understand some of the Romance languages. So Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, especially if it's written down. I can kind of piece it together. Shout out to Latin. I don't think they're doing Latin. I don't think they're teaching Latin anymore in school. That the notion that me, completely fluent in English, can comprehend 4 other languages based off of one language I learned in high school is insane. I don't know why they want us stupid. Can I say that? Here's the honest Christian. They want our kids stupid. They want all of us stupid. This whole social media thing, the whole Bronco thing, the whole Bronco. And I'm not saying if you have a Bronco, you're stupid. And even if you thought that, that is exactly my point. You know, like the critical thinking is out. The schools used to, and not in the, like in 20 years ago, schools intentionally taught critical thinking as a skill in English class. It was an English class. Critical thinking was a marker, something you had to master. Did you know they took that out? Like if you ask your kids when they're in English class, they're looking at comprehension and barely that. It is so sad what's happening in this country. I know this went a different direction. I feel very passionately about our education system. And I think we're in the like bottom 30%, our international scorecard, bottom 30% of all developed nations. You got to teach your kids. I'm going to leave you. I got to go, but I'm going to tell you this. Stop getting kids tablets. Get them books. What do they need a tablet for? Any cartoon, anything. Oh, it's an educational cartoon. they can read an educational book. And what you're doing when you take out the screens, you're setting them up 5-10 years. You're setting them up at an advantage. But no, we're watching Miss Rachel because why? I don't understand. Books jog your imagination. We need, if we're going to have industry, and I know I'm going off, I'm sorry, but if we're going to have industry in this country, we need innovative thinkers. Hello. How do we have innovative thinkers if everybody is on cartoons? I'm going to stop because I can go on and on. I could go on and on. And when you give kids presents for, I know I just said I'll stop. This is the last one. The children in your life, all the way up to 17, their 17th birthday, because I don't give adults presents. You go buy your own presents. Stop buying dolls and trucks and all that. Their parents are going to get them that. If you really want to make an impact on a child, you get them a book, sit there and read the book with them. Or if you don't even know that kid that well, get them Dollar Tree. Hello, Dollar Tree again. Dollar Tree has books. Or little musical instruments. I got this. This is literally for the next child I see. Did you know that? Get the music instruments and books. Stop with all the candies and treats and sugar and toys. I used to have a bucket full of toys in my house for when kids come over. I took that out. I'm doing you a disservice. I want everybody great around me. Even if you're 3 years old, rise to the occasion. Anyway, I'm going to pray us out. I'm sorry. I know I started. This wasn't what I was talking about. Go be holy. Holy means set apart. Be set apart in your righteous behavior. That's what I really want you to know. Dear Jesus, thank you for this time together per usual. My prayer is that the people who watch this today create a plan and move forth in intentionality in your name. They espouse values such as kindness and generosity and joy, faithfulness, steadfastness. Lord, I hope the people who are watching this embrace a culture of learning and of Christ forwardness and spread that throughout the world in your name. Amen. All right, y'all. Sorry for the educational rant, but I feel so strongly about it. We're really messing these kids up. All of us. It's like a group project to mess up America's children. I'll talk to you later. Tomorrow is Bible study day, so I'll see you guys Thursday at 8:05 Mountain Standard Time. Talk to you later.